On Google search, if you perform a search, you obviously have your standard search results that most Amazon affiliate websites are trying to rank for. You may also be doing some additional things like creating videos, which is another aspect to Google search where people can actually find your website. To complete this Google marketing triangle, you have images. As long as you're using WordPress to create a website, any images that you upload through the Add Media button in the WordPress editor will be searchable on Google Image. Now, a lot of people actually use Google Image Search. They are either using it to visually browse the web. This can be especially true when they might be looking for a particular type of product. Website owners also use Google Image Search to try to find images to reuse on their own website as well. You can tap into both of these markets to help to benefit your Amazon website with simply more traffic across the board. You can get the direct traffic off of Google, people that find the image as such and they expand it. They can then visit the page, and this takes them to the web page where this image is located. So when you get your images ranked here, you can get traffic off of Google Image Search. Some people will also just go through here and save images to then go and reuse on their own website. Well, as long as you are incorporating a website name, essentially your domain name, somewhere in the images that you create with MoonPixlar, then when people download and reuse your images on their own websites, you can end up getting some of their traffic shared back to your website. This kind of authority cross-promotion, sometimes the website owners will even give you a backlink for using your image. So no matter what type of person ends up seeing your image on Google Image Search, you can end up benefiting as long as you do this the right way. So number one, when you're creating your images, make sure you're including your domain name on that image somewhere. Even if it's just small and down in the corner, just to mark that image as being from your website. The other main thing that you can do is to optimize the images that you create with MoonPixlar. And so that's one I want to discuss with you during the rest of this. One more thing real quick before I get into that. With Google Image Search, having relevant images can help to boost the search rankings of your normal organic rankings for your niche website. However, ranking for the images also as I was explaining to you before, comes with its own separate set of traffic. I am in Google Webmaster Tools. If you go to Search Traffic and Search Analytics in your own Google Webmaster Tools for your website, you can actually track the search engine data for these images that you end up creating and putting on your website. When you get to this page initially, it's probably going to look like this, where it shows you the clicks and no other additional filters or anything are really set for this. Well, what I like to do is show the impressions. This tells you how much potential traffic there's out there and how much of it you're getting to help you see where your rankings kind of stand. You can also take a look at things like your position to see whether your organic rankings are ranked in the top 10. But the important part here is that we don't just want to look for our normal search rankings, we want to look for our image rankings. To switch to that, if you look over here where it says search type, don't click on the little bubble. Instead, down below, you want to click on the filter, and you want to filter by search type. You can actually do web, image, or video separately here to be able to view that traffic. Now, on this particular website, the only thing that I have done is create normal Amazon ads with an Amazon plugin and grab a couple of images off of either Amazon or Google image search and simply reuse them on my website. As you can see, my images are getting a decent amount of impressions. They are being shown somewhere in the Google image results. However, my average position on those is actually quite low. And the total number of clicks that I'm getting in the course of a month is not very much on the images for this website, even though the organic rankings are doing extremely well. Well, this site, as I mentioned to you before, is basically what most of your Amazon sites likely look like in their current state. And that's why MoonPixlar is so important, because this allows you to create a lot of graphics to help to capture a lot of this traffic. And in fact, you'll find that once you start creating graphics, your total number of impressions is going to skyrocket in addition to the actual traffic and the position. What you need are those unique images that don't exist anywhere else. And then on top of that, you need to optimize the images. So once I create and publish some optimized images on this website, I should have much better results and be able to get this more in line with my organic traffic, and maybe even end up topping that. Now, I mentioned that you need to optimize your images. What I mean by that is when you download an image from MoonPixlar, you click the little download icon up in the top, you save it as a PNG or a JPEG file. It then puts it on your computer. It's going to save it as the file name, your image. Except once you have that image already on your computer, it'll continue saving it the same name, but it'll number it, and it'll increase that number 1 for each image that you create. If you simply just take these images and upload them directly to your WordPress site and don't do anything else to it, you will end up wasting a lot of the effort that has gone into creating these images. The whole point of creating them is to help you make your website more relevant in the search rankings. So the first basic part that you want to do is to actually rename your image. Name it something relevant. To a certain extent, you can be including keyword phrases during this renaming process, whereas for this particular image that I just renamed, I might be targeting keywords like pins on Primaloft or alternative down comforter. However, do take care with going overboard with your naming in that manner. In a lot of ways, I would kind of prefer to name something more naturally than to just completely lace it with keywords. As an example, something like this one, what happens to the birds to harvest down feathers for comforters, I find to be a lot more keyword rich and significant than this image, which is just called pins on Primaloft. So try to name it more like this, a descriptive phrase that uses more than just your keyword phrase, and yet contained within all those words are essentially your keywords. Even if it's not necessarily in the exact order, those words are there. Things here like down feathers for comforters, harvesting, birds, all that kind of stuff relates to keywords that this image is really about. In addition to the naming, the other part is when you actually go to upload these images to your WordPress site, or to any site for that matter. So here I have the same image that I was just showing you. Actually, that one is the one that is not renamed. I'm going to grab my more descriptively named one here. So first of all, once you get it uploaded, you can see over here on the left your descriptive image name. And that name also then gets transferred down into the title of the image. Now the title, you can leave it just like you see here, or you can try to correct this into something more human readable, where you eliminate the hyphens and even capitalize and provide spaces in between each of the words. So then we get a more proper title. You can do things such as adding captions to the image. This isn't something that I would necessarily consider to be a requirement, but it can be helpful. Having nearby text close to your image that is relational in terms of the keywords that you want to be going after for that image can help you with things such as Google image search. Google definitely looks at more than just the name and these basic text elements for the image, the file name, and your alt text. It looks beyond that when it's coming up with the Google image search rankings. It's looking at things on the rest of your page. What's the content of that page about? What's the title of that page about? What's the entire website about? So having your niche-centered website will benefit you in that manner. But having this close by associated text can certainly help you as well. Just like I was recommending to do with your file names on these images, you want to try to get descriptive and use words outside of just the keywords that you're trying to target. For here, I could say something like Amazon's exclusive home brand Pins-On creates a luxurious alternative down comforter at an affordable price. So this caption here, it's definitely keyword rich, but it's natural in terms of, it's basically like a complete sentence. There are definitely words in here, stop words, a, at, and, that certainly have nothing to do with the keywords that I'm trying to target. This helps to mix in with the words that I am trying to target. Alternative down comforter, Pins-On, Amazon. Words of this nature will help to enhance the search rankings of my image overall. Finally, the last part of this is alt text. Think of alt text in this manner. If a blind person were to be reading your website, visiting your website, and they couldn't actually see your image, how could you describe that image to them? Your response to that is what I would recommend to put in the alt text tab. People that can't see do browse the internet. They use screen readers, and screen readers will actually read this kind of information to them. Not only that, but Google will look at this information as well, and having relevant descriptive content here that also contains some keywords can definitely help you out with the image rankings. So for this particular image, I could say something like, get a Pins-On Primaloft alternative down comforter at Amazon. This essentially describes what this is. This is an ad. Essentially, that's what that ad is trying to tell you. And so that is what I've written here. For something that wasn't an ad, I would get more descriptive and talk about what the image actually is. I'd be talking about things like the bed, the decorations, the lighting, whatever kind of content I might have in that image. Just kind of depends on what you have there. But again, I'm not just using something like Pins-On Primaloft. That's not what my alt text is. I expand on that. I get more creative with that, and I get more keyword rich with it. Now finally, the description here is not horribly important. A lot of times this description won't even end up getting used depending on the theme that you actually use on your website. So I don't even bother with entering in anything for that description. I simply go from there down to the attachment display settings. This just involves entering the image into your website. If it is a smaller image, you can enter it in and change the link to none if you're showing the full-size image. If you had a very large image, if the dimensions are really large, to where the full size would be taking up too much of your page, you could show medium, which is something more along the lines of the image size that I have actually uploaded here. I'll show you this one here. My full-size image for this one is 800 by 2000. That would take up an immense amount of space on the web page. So it would be much more feasible to show the medium or the large size here with this example, and then I would let it link to the media file. Letting it link to the media file links that smaller thumbnail image that you've selected here to a full screen version of that image. I would recommend doing that if you are using a thumbnail. However, if you are able to show the full size, then there's not a major point to being able to link or somebody to click on that image to see the full size image because they're already seeing it on their screen. So for those cases where you show the full size, I change link to none, and then you are ready to insert this image into your page. So make sure you have your images named, make sure you're providing descriptive titles and an alt text at the very least, and whenever possible, I would also recommend including a caption. And be mindful of surrounding content. If you can put your image in the content of your page and have some of that nearby content talking about a similar subject, that will also help to increase your image rankings on Google.